Mr. Kelleher, I certainly understood from your testimony, and we've all understood over the last several months, that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has been gutted, its budget, its staff, et cetera, in the last several months. And specifically, some very important functions of that agency appear to have severed. Specifically, the consumer complaint database that millions of Americans have relied upon is being dismantled. Who is going to step into that role to receive and act upon the complaints of millions of Americans who feel that they've been defrauded or scammed?
Yeah, when it's shut down, it's gone. There isn't going to be any substituted location for that.
And many rules have been rescinded and repealed. For example, the excessive overdraft fees rule. Who is going to protect consumers against excessive overdraft fees?
There's going to be no one to, there'll be no institution with the power and authority to be able to do that.
And the credit card late fees rule. Who will protect consumers against exorbitant credit card late fees?
Main Street Americans getting ripped off by credit card companies are going to be left on their own to fend for themselves.
And the data broker rule was also rescinded. What about those many Americans who feel concerned about their privacy and abusive practices of data brokers?
Yeah, Americans, just hardworking Main Street Americans who are subject to abuse by data brokers selling their private information and spreading it around and causing identity theft and other fraud and illegal conduct. They're going to be on their own, once again, having to fight against these huge financial institutions on their own.
I understand that the agency has indicated it will no longer prioritize enforcement or supervision of fair lending laws. And in fact, I think we saw a really extraordinary situation in which the CFPB essentially attempted to pull back on a settlement, and a federal judge stepped in and refused to allow them to do that in Illinois. Is that right?
He not only did that, but if you read his opinion, he excoriated the leadership, the current leadership of the CFPB, for trying to go back years to undo the settlement of an anti-discrimination law in a way that was quite shocking to even the federal judge. So we'll see where that goes on appeal. We participated, Better Markets participated as an amicus in that case.
So for Americans who aren't savvy enough or perhaps wealthy enough to have access to attorneys, and they suffer from discriminatory lending or redlining, what options do they have? The CFPB said stepping back.
You know, the real problem is, and this is why the CFPB was created, is that, you know, Main Street Americans don't have the time or the money to be going after huge financial institutions or financial predators who are prowling, frankly, the wallets and pocketbooks of Main Street Americans, from their credit cards to their checking accounts to their savings accounts to whether it's discrimination or other unfair and deceptive acts. And that's why we saw that gap. This is not a theoretical problem. We saw it before '08 and how consumers were abused. We also saw the systemic implications of it, because the predatory subprime lending on the individual basis, where individual people getting mortgages were getting ripped off, that was bad. But it also got rolled up into becoming a systemic crisis. And so the purpose of consumer protection is, yes, to protect Main Street Americans and their wallets and pocketbooks. It's also to protect the systemic risk of failures and bailouts. All of that is gone. We created the CFPB for that purpose. It did a shockingly good job in a very short period of time.
I think it's important that, you know, as we think about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, this is one of the many ultimately in acronyms that gets lost in the American public, because there are so many agencies in the federal government. So many seem to have so little impact on our daily lives. But it is important for us to understand exactly what this particular agency does. Undoubtedly, there have been cases of bureaucratic overreach, regulatory overreach. I've never known a regulatory agency that wasn't guilty of that. But there's a lot at stake here. And specifically, as I'm thinking about the civil penalty fund, and $3.3 billion have been returned to Americans who have been scammed in various ways.
So I have a
What
chart in
agency's
my
gonna
written
step in?
testimony that shows by state how much money every state has received from the civil penalty fund, and everything from $35 million to Arkansas to $46 million to Connecticut. I mean, the CFPB protects everybody and benefits everybody in all 50 states, and every single congressional district here has received money. Their people, their citizens, their voters have received money from the CFPB when they were ripped off.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. I yield.